This video is how to make TikTok videos using DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve is free software. It's used by Hollywood studios, and you can do pretty much everything you need to do with this software, and it doesn't cost you a penny. So the first thing you need to do is go to blackmagicdesign.com, and then click here on Support. And you'll see on the second icon here, it says DaVinci Resolve in Fusion Software. Let's click on that, and that's going to change this column right here where it says Latest Downloads. And right at the top here, I see this one. It says DaVinci Resolve 17.1.1 Update. That's the one you want to download, DaVinci Resolve. You don't want DaVinci Resolve Studio. That's the paid version. You're not going to be able to run that unless you pay for it. So download your flavor of operating system here. I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to click on this button. You'll have to fill out your information and then hit register and download. And it's a free download. This software is completely free, and it's amazing. You can do everything you need to do for TikTok with this software. So download this and then install it. When you first open Resolve, you'll see a window kind of like this. It's going to have probably nothing in here except it'll say Untitled Project. So let's just double click on that, and it'll take us into a new project. It's going to look pretty barren like this. The actual layout will change depending on how big your screen is. I have a very large screen, so I've got a lot of room here. Now all you have to do is literally just drag in video files like this down here to the bottom. You can also navigate to the videos like this and then drag them down here. It's the same thing, but really before you do that, let's jump into some settings. These are important. Now Resolve is a complicated piece of software, so there's a lot of settings. I'm going to try to keep this simple though. Down here at the bottom right, you'll see this little gear icon. Let's click on that, and these are where all the settings are. Now, TikTok is vertical video only. You can drop in, a standard HD 16:9 video, and it's just going to look really tiny in the frame. So we want to set this up in a particular way so that it looks more like this. It fills the frame, it's easier to see, it just looks better for TikTok. So if you scroll this to the top, you'll see it says Custom. So I'm going to set this to 1080 by 1920. And that's vertical video resolution. I'm also going to set my frame rate to this. Now you'll probably want to do it at like 2997 if you're in North America. If you're in Europe, you might be using 25 frames. It just depends on where you live. I'm going to do 24, but you can do whatever you want. Also, let's go to image scaling. I usually set this to scale full frame with crop, and you'll see why in a minute here. So for now, let's hit save on that. It's going to change my frame rate. If you try to do that after you've already dropped in some clips into your timeline, it's not going to let you change it there. So do it before you drop in any clips. I'm not going to drop in that though. I'm going to drop in some other footage from an event that I shot a couple of years ago. You got different ways of viewing your footage. This is nice. You can see all your clips right away. I should use these ones because these are some of my most viewed clips on TikTok. Now, these are different than my timeline frame rates. So I'm not going to change it though. I want to keep my timeline where I set it. These clips are actually high frame rate, 120 frames per second, which is fine. It's still compatible. So I use the edit page to edit my video. So let's click on this icon here. And if you want, you can rename these. It doesn't rename the file. It just renames it here in Resolve, so it's easier to understand what you have. If I just drag this down here, we can take a look at our clip. And you can see how zoomed in that looks. Now this is where I wanted to show you that setting. If I go back here and change this to scale entire image to fit, it's going to look really different. You can see what it did. It took the entire image, since this is a 16:9 video clip, and put it inside of our larger vertical video, and that's not what we want, obviously, because there's a lot of black space on the top and bottom. It's going to look really tiny. I mean, this is essentially what people are going to see on their screen. It's this tiny little box inside here. So that's why I set this to scale full frame with crop. It's going to make sure that the video fills the image here. Now, if you decide like that's too close, I can't really see what's going on, click on that video clip, come over here to the inspector. If it's not open, you just click on this right here and pull this zoom down, and you can see how it's going to show us more of our video file there. So maybe more of a square aspect ratio, and we can see a bit more of our subject here. This is your preview window. So if you click on a clip over here, it's going to show it over here, and this helps you find part of the clip that you want. Like I say right there, I'm going to hit the I button, that's my in point, and she's running towards camera, and I'm going to hit O for the out point. And now if I drag this like this, I have just that portion of the clip rather than the entire clip like that. I get just the part I want. So let me zoom in on my timeline here, and now you can see over on the right preview window, I get just that clip that I cut in. Now let's say that your subject wasn't centered in the frame just right, like maybe they were off like this. Then all you have to do, click on that clip and move the position X so that they're centered like that. So when she's running, boom, now she's in the middle of the frame. You can also change the Y, which is the up and down, but you are going to get some black because remember this setting that we set here for the scaling, basically it made the top and bottom of our video fit the top and bottom of our timeline window here. So if I move this at all, I'm going to get black on the top and bottom, which it's okay if you want to have this down a bit more. That's fine. It's not a big deal. In TikTok, you don't really notice these kind of black because you see it so often in video. But I'm going to leave mine just the way it was because it was actually centered really well. I've opened up a project that I've done all kinds of editing on. You can see I've got all my clips cut up. I've got them colored really nice. I've got music cut in. And this is actually video that I have up on my social media, like my TikTok. I'll have this link down below if you want to see these videos. They're also up on YouTube in HDR, which is really cool. But anyway, I want to show you how you can export this for TikTok. So you want to come to this rocket ship icon, which is the export page or the delivery page. And there's a number of settings here you want to look at. This gets a little technical, but bear with me because this is all very important. So first thing is I would set this to MP4. I think this is probably the best format for uploading. And either H.264 or H.265. H.265 is newer. It's a slightly better format. It does, depending on your computer, it might take a long time to export. So if it does take too long, then you can try H.264. But I'm going to try to use H.265. My computer doesn't support hardware acceleration. You can see if I have this turned on and I try to output this, it's going to try it and it's going to go, oh, failed. It's error because it recognizes that my computer doesn't have that hardware, so it doesn't know how to do that. So I'm going to uncheck that box. And down here, this is important under resolution. Again, I'm going to select custom and then make sure it's 1080 by 1920. That's our vertical resolution. And then my frame rate is going to match my timeline frame rate. If you were on a different frame rate, then you should probably match whatever your timeline, your edit timeline was, match that here on the output. And again, here down in the quality, this is important. Don't use automatic. It's going to be very poor quality in my experience. I set this to 30,000 kilobits per second. That's a good rate. It's going to give you better quality video, and the file sizes are still pretty small. They're not very large files. And I'm using main 10 encoding profile. That's, again, it's a newer profile. It's a little better than just the main, but you can try the main if this main 10 is taking too long to export. Try using the main settings. You're probably not going to notice the difference anyway on TikTok. These settings, just leave them as they are, automatic frame reordering, and that's mostly it. You can come over to the file and select custom name and give it a name like TikTok1, whatever you want to call it. Browse to your output location so you can save that file wherever you want to save it on your computer, and then hit add it to your render queue. Let me get rid of this old one, and you can see it shows up over here on the right as a little box here. And so what this has, this in-point and out-point, means it's going to render what's in between these two dots. If you selected entire timeline, you can see how it's going to use the entire timeline. But that's not what we're doing. I'm using just this part of the edit timeline here to output. So all you have to do is select that, hit render, and it's going to start rendering. And even on my computer, I have a pretty decent iMac here with this H.265 codec. You can see it blew through this first clip really quick, but as it hits the second one, it slows down and it kind of stays at this speed for the rest of the render. And it gives you an estimate here, 5 minutes and 37. Now it's going up to 7 minutes. And this is only like 55 seconds worth of video. And it's going to take now almost 10 minutes to output, partially because I'm recording the screen right now, so it's going to slow it down as well. But what I'm getting at is this codec takes a little bit more processing power to output. So again, you can play with the settings using H.264, trying the main instead of the main 10, and you might get faster renders. But I would still stick with either H.264 or H.265 over any of the other codecs in there. You can see my render took 13 minutes for a 55-second clip. That's quite a bit of time, but again, this is really the best format for me. I found I get consistent results when I upload this to TikTok or when I make videos for Instagram. The video ends up looking pretty much the same as I see it here on my screen. So if I go to that folder in my Finder here, the last piece of the puzzle is getting this onto your phone, since that's really the only way to get video onto TikTok is through the phone app. Now, this is highly dependent on which operating system you have. I'm on Mac OS here, so it's pretty easy for me to move this to my iPhone. I'm going to right click, come down here to Share, and select AirDrop. And if I open up my phone, it's going to show up here in this little box. There I am, and all I have to do is click on my little icon. And this is a small file, so it doesn't take very long to send. And boom, there it is on my phone. And as you can see, it looks pretty much like it did in my computer. So I can go right to TikTok and hit this upload button. And you can see I've got a bunch of versions of this already. But if I click on that one, hit next, you can see I get a preview. And again, it looks just like I had it on my computer. The color, the sizing of everything, it's perfect. So I can scroll through, I can put all kinds of stickers and stuff on there, which I usually never do. I keep it really simple. You want to select a cover, which means you can come over here and scroll through your footage and say, I like this part of the clip right there. That's actually kind of awkward. Whatever you want to do, hit save on that. Put in your description, your hashtag. You can tag friends on this thing. If you want to share it to Instagram, you can click this button down here, and it'll allow you to share it either to your stories or to your timeline. And just hit post, and it goes up onto TikTok. And TikTok takes this video no problem. I've done this a bunch of times already, and it looks great. And go to my profile. There's all my videos. If you like this video, please give me that thumbs up down there and consider subscribing. This is mostly a cosplay channel, but I'm going to make some videos like this every now and then just to help you put videos up on social media. Thanks.